Foremost, this is a reminder to myself before any of ourselves. What is Isaal-e-Thawab? What is the purpose of this gathering? MashaAllah, I see many youngsters here, and I see elders, I see people of different ages, alhamdulillah. I'm happy to see that. So we can understand the importance of our gathering here today. Isaal-e-Thawab. What is the meaning of Isaal and what is the meaning of Thawab? So the word Isaal in Arabic comes from the root word wasala, which means to join or to unite or to reach somewhere. For example, all of you have come to this masjid. I can say, wasala Hafiz Adil ila Masjid Noor-UL-Haram. That means Hafiz Adil, Muhammad Adil, Hafidullah, may Allah protect him and preserve him and all of us. Wasala, he has reached Masjid Noor-UL-Haram. The root word is wasala. When we say Isaal, that word is a derivative of the word wasala. So, and Thawab, we all know, we say Urdu, we say Thawab. In Arabic, we say Thawab. Thawab means reward. So, Isaal-e-Thawab, we are delivering or donating or presenting or asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the reward to be transferred to those who have passed away, who have passed on from this world. So that the reward of our recitation of Quran, the reward of our any ibadat, our charities, our durood sharif, our dhikr, adhkar, our nawafil can be transferred or they can reach wasala to those who have passed away from our families, indeed from the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is the purpose of this gathering, to present that reward. And the adab and the etiquette, when we do that, and when we recite something, for example from the Quran, we recited before Asr, ajza and parts from the Quran, surahs from the Quran, or when we recite any type of ibadah for adhkar or salawat upon Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, anything that has a thawab, anything that gives you a reward from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are allowed to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to donate that reward to those people who have passed away. And the verse of the Quran that I recited is a proof of that. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَالَّذِينَ جَاءُوا مِن بَعْدِهِمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this verse is explaining the relationship of different generations of believers. How should we connect ourselves to the generations that have come before us? They have a right over us. For example, our fathers, our grandfathers, and even if we're not related, the ummah of Rasulullah, Ummat al-Muhammadiyya sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, who are our brothers and sisters in Islam, and they have come before us, they have a right over us. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is describing this right in the Quran. What does that mean by right? We have to do something for them. What does that mean? وَالَّذِينَ جَاءُوا مِن بَعْدِهِمْ. So those generations that come after them, for example, some of our parents have passed on, some of our grandparents have passed on, our relatives have passed on, generations have passed on before us, grandparents, great-grandparents. Those people who come after them, وَالَّذِينَ جَاءُوا مِن بَعْدِهِمْ, what are they supposed to do? يَقُولُونَ, they say, رَبَّنَا اغْفِرْ لَنَا. They have to make dua for them. This is a right upon the generations that came before us. And what is the dua that we can make for them? A beautiful dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Jalla Jalalu, befitting His glory and majesty Himself, is revealing in the Quran upon His beloved Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. رَبَّنَا اغْفِرْ لَنَا وَلِإِخْوَانِنَا الَّذِينَ سَبَقُونَا بِالْإِيمَانِ. O our Lord, forgive us and forgive our brothers and sisters in Islam who have come before us. Forgive us and forgive our believing brothers and sisters who have come before us. وَلَا تَجْعَلْ فِي قُلُوبِنَا غِلًّا لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا. And do not leave in our hearts any grudge or any hatred towards any believer. Ya Allah. رَبَّنَا إِنَّكَ رَؤُوفٌ رَحِيمٌ. Our Lord, indeed you are the most kind, the most merciful. So our right, the right that our generations, the previous generations have upon us, at least, is to make dua for them. Is to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive them. Is to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to raise their darajat in Jannah, to make it easy for them, to make all the stages to come easy for them. This is from the Quran Al-Kareem. Now the etiquette and the adab when we make the Isaal-e-Thawab, or when we present the reward of what we have recited, the adab when we make the dua is to recite some chapters from the Quran. As we say Khatm al-Quran, we see the Hufaz or the ulama or the imams, they gather and they recite starting from Qul Huwallahu Ahad, the four Quls, the Surah Fatiha, some verses from Surah Al-Baqarah, some verses Ayat al-Kursi, last verses of Surah Al-Baqarah, the verse of Salawat. These are selective ayahs of the Quran, and then there is a dua that is made. And how is the dua made? What is the tartib of the dua? That we start with presenting the reward to the best of creation, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now we have to be careful, because we have to know that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we cannot benefit Rasulullah. Okay? There's nothing that we can do to benefit him. Actually, he is benefiting us, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He is our master, he is our leader. Right? So when we say we're reciting Isaal-e-Thawab, or when we're doing this recitation, we shouldn't say that, oh, we're doing this for the forgiveness of Rasulullah, astaghfirullah. Because the Prophet ﷺ is already forgiven, he's already ma'soom. All the prophets are ma'soom, they have no sin. But when it comes to the prophets, ﷺ, the Ahlul Bayt, the Sahaba, the pious people, we present the reward as a gift to them. What do we do? Present it as a gift. Hadiyatan wa tuhfatan. That's why we hear the Imam, Allahumma awsil, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, allow the reward of this recitation to reach the blessed soul of Rasulullah and his Azwaj al-Tahirat, the Ahlul Bayt, the Sahaba, the pious people, right, who are protected from sinning and they are pious and they're close to Allah. For them it is a gift for them. Because we are not ones to benefit, they are greater than us in rank. They are higher than us and they have more closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So who are we to say that we are giving them something or we are benefiting them? No, we're asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to present the recitation as a gift to them. But when it comes to those of our family members and those people from the ummah in general, then we can make for dua al-maghfirah for them and dua al-rahmah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy upon them and us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala raise their darajat and elevate their station in Jannah, ya Arhamar Rahimin. So this is the adab and the etiquette of Isaal-e-Thawab. Now, my next point, and the journey I'm taking now after explaining what the meaning of Isaal-e-Thawab is, and giving a verse from the Quran that tells us that we have to make dua, is now we want to deal with a question that comes in the minds of many Muslims today. And that question is, that do the people who have passed away benefit from the living? Right? Alhamdulillah, we have the iman. This is why we came here. We have the aqidah that yes, our recitation benefits those people who have passed away. Isaal-e-Thawab is one of the things that we do, one of the things that is from the sunnah of Rasulullah actually, and from the sunnah of the Sahaba and Bayt, and has been passed on from generation to generation, recitation of Quran, and donating that reward to those who have passed away and asking Allah to forgive them. This is our aqidah. But you might meet somebody in different masajid and other Muslims, they might ask you, how can a person who has passed away be benefiting from the living? How can a living person benefit the dead? And then they're going to quote you a hadith of Rasulullah. They're going to say, the Prophet ﷺ said, إِذَا مَاتَ الْإِنسَانُ إِنْقَطَعَ عَمَلُهُ إِلَّا مِنْ ثَلَاثٍ. That when the person passes away, all that person's deeds, they end, except three. So even in the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ is saying, not all the deeds end. He said there's three things that still remain for the person. If the person passes away, there's still three parts of hope at least for that person. What are these three things? Sadaqatin jariyah. That a person, he is giving charity, continuous charity. Right? For example, that person has given sadaqah in a masjid, or in a madrasa, or has given any sadaqah that is continuous, that is being used until now, even when that person is in their grave. That will still benefit the person. Number two, أَوْ عِلْمٍ يُنْتَفَعُ بِهِ. Knowledge which benefits. Beneficial knowledge. If that person was a person of beneficial knowledge, or if people benefited from his or her knowledge, then that will continue to elevate that person's darajah. For example, if I taught somebody alif ba ta, I taught them to recite the Quran, even if it's just the letters of the alphabet, even that, alif ba ta even. When I go to the grave, as long as that person, my student, is benefiting from the alif ba ta and reciting the Quran, I will continue to get the reward. أو علم ينتفع به, beneficial knowledge. أو ولد صالح يدعو له, and the third thing, a pious child. You leave behind a pious child who prays for you. What does the child do? Pray for you. The Prophet ﷺ clearly said, يدعو له. That means the living can benefit the people who have passed away. If the Prophet ﷺ did not mention that, then you can say, okay, how is the living going to benefit those people who passed away? But the Prophet ﷺ said, أَوْ وَلَدٍ صَالِحٍ. The walad salih, the pious child, is living. Yes or no? The pious child is not passed. The pious child, you leave them behind in this world. And what does that pious child do? يَدْعُو لَهُ. He makes dua for that person. So the action of the living is benefiting those people who have passed away. Because the Prophet ﷺ has said, you have left behind a pious child, and that child is making Fatiha for you. That child is making recitation of Quran. That child is asking Allah to forgive you. That child is doing sadaqah on your behalf. That child is sacrificing a goat in the name of Allah or an animal in the name of Allah and feeding the poor. That child is holding a mahfil, right, for the sake of Allah, but in your name so that we can make dua for you. It is all jaiz. It is all allowed. The Prophet ﷺ, after the passing of Sayyida Khadija radiallahu anha, his blessed wife, after she passed ahead from this world, the Prophet ﷺ would often sacrifice a sheep or a goat in the name of Allah, and he would distribute the meat to the friends of Sayyida Khadija radiallahu anha. He would distribute the meat because he knew who were the friends of Sayyida Khadija, and he loved Sayyida Khadija so much, and Sayyida Khadija loved him so much, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And there was a great bond. She was the first wife of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So that he would distribute that meat and give it and make it, or send someone to transport it, or himself sallallahu alayhi wa sallam would deliver it to the friends of Sayyida Khadija. That you partake in this meat, and this is in the name of Allah, but I have sacrificed this so that Sayyida Khadija benefits radiallahu anha. Right? So this is the way that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam has taught us. Indeed, so what we learn from this is, if someone tells you or asks you a question, and I'm telling everybody, even my youngsters here, we have to know this, that if someone asks you a question, that can the living benefit the people who have passed away, then you say, yes, you can. Can the recitation of the Quran, are you allowed to recite Quran and make Isaal-e-Thawab and recite adhkar and recite nawafil or do sadaqah and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to carry that reward and allow that reward to reach those people who have passed ahead from this world? Then the answer is yes. Not only is it a desired action, the ulama say it is mustahab, it is a preferred action. The ulama, they say it is mustahab. Mustahab means it is an action which is desired, which is preferred, that we do that. And the ulama, many of the ulama have recorded the verses of the Quran and the hadith that display and that prove that this is an action which is mustahab. For example, according to the time, I'll mention some of these evidences from the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and from our practices in general. For example, the first thing we do when the person passes away, what is one of the first things we do? We perform Salatul Janazah. What is Salatul Janazah? Salatul Janazah, we are asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are praying in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we're reciting Surah Al-Fatiha, we're reciting Thana, we're reciting Durood Sharif, we're reciting dua for the person who has passed away, and we're finishing the salah. So isn't the person who is performing janazah, they are living? Yes. Is the action of the living now benefiting the person who has passed away? Yes. The first thing we do janazah. One of the first things we do janazah. So salatul janazah, the actions of the living are benefiting those people who have passed away. From the salatul janazah, this is the first thing. One of the first things that we do. So of course, yes, this benefits those people who passed away. The Prophet ﷺ said that if 40 people, لا يشركون بالله شيئا, 40 people who do not make shirk of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they do not join partners with worship of Allah, if they gather for the salatul janazah of a person, Allah accepts their shafa'ah. Allah accepts their intercession for that person. Intercession meaning, they make dua that Allah forgive them, Allah accepts their dua for them. So are the living benefiting those people who have passed away? Yes, they are. That's one proof. What else? For example, there was a hadith recorded by Imam Muslim, Sahih Muslim, one of the most authentic kitabs of Hadith Sharif after Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih Muslim Sharif, rewarded by Sayyidina Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu. A man said to Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that my father has died and he has left some money, and he did not bequeath that money, that means he did not allocate or distribute that money to anybody. Now what do I do with that, Ya Rasulullah? Is it okay? Will it benefit my father if I give this wealth in charity? The Prophet ﷺ said yes. So I'm going to repeat that. The man came to Rasulullah ﷺ and he said, my father has left behind some wealth, and my father did not tell me who to give that wealth to. He did not bequeath it. He did not give it in inheritance to anybody. He did not specify in his will who to give this money to. Now, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, if I give this wealth in charity, will it benefit my father who has passed away? The Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam said, yes, it will benefit. So we can also give sadaqah on behalf of those who have passed away. This is allowed. And the Prophet ﷺ, this shows that even charitable donations are allowed. And there's another hadith of the Prophet ﷺ where he said that al-kalimatu tayyibatu sadaqah, that even a good word is charity. And the ulama say that one of the names of the Quran is al-kalimatu tayyibah, because the Quran is a good word and it is a pure word. So even if you recite Quran and you donate that, this is also a sadaqah, this is also permissible in Islam, that the living benefit those people who have passed away. Another hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, whenever he would visit Al-Baqi' al-Sharif, the graveyard in Madinatul Munawwar, Jannatul Baqi' al-Gharqad, he would make dua for the people in the graves. And he would address them, he would say salam to them, Assalamu alaykum, ya Ahl al-Qubur, or Assalamu alaykum, Ahl al-Diyar, min al-Mu'mineen. And he will say, وَإِنَّا إِنشَاءَ اللَّهُ بِكُمْ لَاحِقُونَ, that inshallah we will join you in this graveyard, in this blessed place. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he would ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Oh Allah, forgive the people of Al-Baqi' al-Gharqad. Ya Allah, forgive the people of Al-Baqi' al-Gharqad. So anything that the Prophet ﷺ is doing, it is a lesson for the Ummah. We have to follow him. So when we make dua for the people who have passed away, this is indeed a sunnah of Rasulullah ﷺ. If anyone says this is not from the sunnah, you can give them this hadith. And you can tell them that the Prophet ﷺ would go to Baqi' and he would say salam to the people of Baqi'. He would ask Allah to forgive the people of Baqi'. And likewise, this is not restricted to people of Baqi'. This is open for any Muslim graveyard that we go to, whether it be in the east, west, north, or south. We should do this, or this is something from the sunnah of Rasulullah and teaching of our beloved Prophet ﷺ. Another hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, this is recorded by Imam al-Bukhari, Sahih al-Bukhari, and narrated by Hazrat Ibn Abbas, who was the cousin of Rasulullah ﷺ, radiyallahu anhu, may Allah be pleased with him, and his father, who was the uncle of Rasulullah ﷺ. Once the Prophet ﷺ, he passed by two graves. He passed by two graves and he noticed, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala unveiled to him the knowledge that these two people in these two graves were being punished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There was adhab descending upon them. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. And he explained what was the reason. These two people, they did not take these things seriously. But one of them, he was not careful when urinating. When he would go to the bathroom and when he would urinate, he would use the bathroom, he was not careful. He was not careful of cleaning himself properly, and he was not careful of the drops of urine. Sometimes they fall on the clothing. That person was not careful, and because of that, he was receiving a punishment. The Prophet ﷺ saw that. So this shows us that we have to be very careful. Cleanliness is very important, right? The next thing, the other person who was receiving adab, he was a person who used to involve himself in telltale. He would make up stories about people, backbite, and say this person did that, this person did that, when it was not true. You know, telltaling? This is called telltale. They would tell false tales about people. Now he was also receiving adab. Now what did the Prophet ﷺ do? Rahmatul lil alameen. The Prophet ﷺ could not bear that anyone is receiving adab and he is not doing anything about it. The Prophet ﷺ, he took a wet plant, a plant which was moist, and he took that plant and he snapped it in half and he placed each of the halves on one of the graves. And the companions asked Rasulullah, the Sahaba who were with him at that time, they said, Ya Rasulullah, why did you do this? He replied sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that perhaps their punishment will be lightened until the plant withers away. That until this plant is still fresh, until it becomes dry and withers away, perhaps that their punishment will be lightened. And the ulama, they explain, why is the punishment going to be lightened by the plant? And some of the ulama and scholars, they say because the plant makes tasbih. Every plant, every living thing makes tasbih of Allah. The Prophet ﷺ put that living thing which makes tasbih on the grave, so that the tasbih benefits the person who has passed away. Now the ulama say, if the tasbih of a plant can benefit the person who has passed away, what about the recitation of the Quran of a mu'min? What of the recitation of the Quran of a mu'min, of a believing man and woman? A person who believes and recites the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon the grave and goes there and recites the Quran, or recites in the masjid or anywhere and asks Allah to transfer the reward of that recitation. Imagine how much that benefits the person in the grave. So these are some of the proofs about how the living can benefit the dead, and how the living can benefit those who have passed away. Right? So this is Isaal-e-Thawab. This is the reason why we gather. Right? They have rights over us. The people who have passed away, our parents, our relatives, even sometimes our children have passed away before us. They have rights over us. Those people who have passed away before us, they have rights. And that right is we have to make dua for them. We have to keep doing these types of gatherings. And we have to continue these types of gatherings. In the masajid, in Masjid Noor-UL-Haram, in every masjid, in every home. On a daily basis, we should be doing Fatiha. On a daily basis. This is the practice of many of us here. They already do that. I don't have to tell them. But if we don't do it, we should make it a practice. Every day I want to do Fatiha. Whenever you have some time, when you're home alone, you don't have anybody bothering you, no work or anything like that, make a time to dedicate a portion of the time, 5-10 minutes. I'm going to do a Fatiha starting with Rasulullah to present as a gift. Ahlul Bayt, the Sahaba, the Tabi'in, the Azwaj al-Tahirat, go Mala'ikat al-Muqarrabin, go in order. This is the adab, Because, why do we start with Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? You know the secret of it. I'll tell you the secret. When you make Fatiha for Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, it's not that we're benefiting him, we are being benefited. How? Because the ruh of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is not turning towards you. The tawajjuh of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam is coming towards you now. The barakah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam knows who is making Fatiha for me, as a gift for me, who is reciting Durood Sharif upon me. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam knows. There's a hadith that every action of my ummah is presented towards me. Yes or no? This is the hadith of Rasulullah. If I see that someone has performed a wrong thing in my ummah, I seek forgiveness from Allah. And if I see that that person has performed a good action, I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. By name, He knows every one of our names, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and He knows every one of our actions and what we're doing. If we make Fatiha every day, imagine how pleased Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is with us. And my ummati is making Fatiha for me as a gift. Imagine there's a sultan and you give him a gift every day. How pleased will that person be? There is a king in your neighborhood or anywhere, and you send that king a gift every day. You think the king will not know you? You think the king will not recognize you? You think the king will not pay you back? The king will pay you back. And the king will pay you back with something better. And you'll see that in the next life, in the akhirah, what you'll receive. Likewise, the Ahlul Bayt and the Sahaba, because the ruh and their arwah are alive. All the spirits are alive. The spirits don't die. The spirits of even regular people don't die. The spirits are always alive. So imagine the spirits of the prophets and the Anbiya al-Mursaleen and the Ahlul Bayt and the Sahaba, how powerful they are. So they know who is making Fatiha for me. So what happens is when you make Fatiha, there's a connection. You're building a spiritual connection to them. You make Fatiha for Rasulullah, there's a spiritual connection. You make Fatiha for the Azwaj al-Tahirat, you're spiritually connected to them. You make Fatiha for Ahlul Bayt, you're connected to them. You make Fatiha for Sahaba, Sayyidina Abu Bakr, Sayyidina Umar, Sayyidina Uthman, Sayyidina Ali, radiallahu anhum, you're connected to them. You make Fatiha for the awliya, Shaykh Abdul Qadir Jilani, your ruh is connected to his ruh. You make Fatiha for Khwaja Gharib Nawaz, your ruh is connected to them. You make Fatiha for Imam al-Rafai, Imam al-Badawi, Imam al-Haddad, any wali of Allah, your ruh is connected to that person. His ruh. And they know about it. And then you keep doing it until you become their beloved person. And they know that so and so is making Fatiha for me, so and so is giving me a gift every day. Right? If someone gives you a gift every day, of course you're going to start loving him, you're going to appreciate that person. Yes or no? Of course. And then start with that. That's why I'm saying start with that, and then you're building a connection, and then mention those people from the Ummah of Rasulullah, khususan your parents or your relatives, right? And whoever has passed away from your circle or from the people that you know, mention their names, and then mention all the mu'mineen and mu'minat, all the Muslimin and Muslimat, All those people from the Ummah of Rasulullah, from the awwaleen, from those who have come before, from the akhirin, those who have come after, mention them and then make a dua for them, make a dua for yourself, and finish your dua. Right? If you can't do it once a day, do it once a week. If you can't do it once a week, do it once a month. But please at least do it once a month, I would say. Once a year is too less, I think. Once a year is too less. Start with once a month. If you don't already do it every day, start with once a month or once a week. And then, inshallah, increase until you can do it once a day, inshallah. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept our gathering, ya Arhamar Rahimeen. And this is a great sacrifice for all of us. We spend this family day. We could have been going here and there and spending it in a state of, heedlessness and not being, mindful of Allah. But alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us tawfiq through the barakah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and our concern for those who have passed away, that He brought us here. Right, to remember them, to do Isaal-e-Thawab. This is a big blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has allowed us to use this time in a wise way. We perform the salah together in jama'ah. How much benefit is that to perform? Inshallah, we're going to perform maghrib together. We're going to have, inshallah, tabarruk and niyaz together. Inshallah, this is a great thing, and this is something that pleases Allah and pleases the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all our noble intentions. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala remove the suffering from the Ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We ask you, Ya Arhamar Rahimeen, bijahi Sayyidina Mursaleen sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, to give shifa and afiyah to all those who are sick and suffering, and to ennoble us to continue this tradition of Isaal-e-Thawab throughout our generations, and as a respect, right, for our parents and for our relatives. It's also a matter of respect and honoring them, right, that we make dua for them when they pass away. This is why, mashallah, I'm happy to see some of the youngsters here. When our parents or who our relatives pass from this dunya, we have to keep doing this. This is one of the rights they have, and this is one of the matters of respecting them. Not only respecting them in this world, but respecting them even when they have passed away. Why? The seed that you sow, you will reap the fruit of that seed. Right? So if you do it for your parents, then when your children come and when you get married, you have children, and one day we all have to go to the qabr and grave, then they will come to your grave and they will recite Quran for you. Right? Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not forget, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not, He does not hold anything that you do as good. He does not leave it. He does not, hold it in contempt, or He does not forget anything that you do in good. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is beyond forgetfulness. He is beyond that. He is far from that. He is glorified from that. And He does not diminish any good work of the believer. Right? And we'll see when you do that good thing, then inshallah it'll come into your offspring. Inshallah. And through the offspring, it'll come into their offspring, and it'll continue until Yawm al-Qiyamah. Ya Arhamar Rahimeen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Walhamdulillahi rabbil alamin.